Hello and welcome to Balanced Existence. Today I want to share a message, a topic that has been on my mind for a little bit. It's not going to be a tarot reading, but just a channeled message today. And also I want to open up reflection for you. And of course, I love hearing from you in the comments, but even if you just feel like this is something you want to privately reflect on, even if it's just like planting a seed or whether it's an intentional journaling session, I really invite that for you here. Sometimes we can get great inspiration and motivation from prompts that we hear in videos and books. And so if that is this for you, then I encourage you to take advantage of that. So the question for today is, why are you consuming the content you're consuming? Not just tarot readings or twin flame videos, which of course a lot of the spiritual collective may be drawn to. And if you're on this channel, that might be something that you also resonate with. But everything, maybe you get parenting advice videos, maybe you get decluttering videos, maybe you get ASMR videos, maybe you get funny animal videos, maybe you get political videos, right? Like everything. So I want to ask, what makes you click on it? Now, and I'm not just talking about the doom scrolling or the YouTube rabbit holes that you may go down maybe often or maybe now and then, where you feel pulled into video after video, or maybe you find a certain content creator and then you just binge a lot of their videos because you're kind of on this like inspirational streak. That can be fine if you feel it's productive, if you feel you're taking information away from it, if it's helping inspire you, if it's something that's adding value to your life in the direction you want to go in. Or it could be maybe a distraction, an escapism, like doom scrolling, especially with short form content. I think we all know the dangers of just mindlessly scrolling, where at least with long-term content, it can require more of your attention span. But wherever you're at in your journey, whether it's spirituality content or not, whatever your relationship with technology and social media is, I want to get more specific than that. I want to ask, why do you click on the videos you click on, and why do you stay? In other words, why do you choose to receive that content? And I've spoken in previous videos about how our attention is our currency. Attention is the new currency. It's not just about money anymore. It's about our attention, because as we evolve past the material needs, which of course we need money, we need survival, but as we evolve past that into higher consciousness, we realize that our existence is only through the lens of our perception, our consciousness. And so that becomes the ultimate currency of life. So when we think about the content we consume and the videos we watch, what were we looking for? Is it information, resources, knowledge, skills? Is it inspiration or some kind of feeling? Maybe it's some kind of relief or comfort or sense of security. Ultimately, there's nothing wrong with the needs. What I really want to get down to is, once you understand what is it that I'm seeking from the video, I want you to ask yourself, is this video actually meeting it? And I know this is kind of ironic because I'm literally filming a video to ask about the videos you watch. But for example, I hope that if you're watching this video, you're gaining some valuable reflection time and you're gaining clarity on what matters to you or your insights about life. And by this effect, you are learning yourself better. And by that effect, you are becoming a more authentic human being. That's what I hope for you, right? If you are looking for a tarot video that is going to give you some prediction, which I've talked about how that is a big ego trap in previous videos on this channel. And look, it's not to say you shouldn't do it, or I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to help us in a more authentic way understand why we do the things we do. So there's nothing wrong with wanting validation and security, especially on a just basic level of human emotional needs, which are universal and always valid because they are part of the human experience. And there's nothing wrong with seeking that. The ego trap comes when we seek it through external means primarily or solely, and we don't nurture the inner cultivation of those same needs or the inner conjuring of those same feelings. So if you're watching a tarot reading and it's giving you some prediction and that's allowing you to tap into the feeling of hope and joy, then I think that that's quite a valuable content to consume, which is not spiraling you down in any ego trap, but is rather helping you grow on an internal level. Whereas if you watch a tarot video, and it could be that same tarot video, just a different person's perception of it. But if you watch a tarot video and it's telling you that something external is going to happen, and then in an egoic way, you begin to anticipate things in your external reality as your primary source of that inner feeling you're seeking, then you can see how we've now attached to external outcomes and circumstances. And by doing so, of course, we block our manifestation. So that's an example. I've definitely touched on that in previous videos, but that's, of course, the just straight upfront example as it relates to tarot and spirituality messages. So let's use some other examples. Let's say there's a parenting video. Maybe it's giving you techniques on how to have a loving relationship with your kid, or techniques on how to handle a tantrum, or even just like practical life hacks around the home, or efficiency tips, things like this. That is being consumed to help you become a more patient parent, a more self-aware parent, a more organized parent, whatever, take your pick. That is ultimately boiling down to a value you have. You value organization, you value patience, you value love and compassion and connection, you value family, whatever it may be for you. So the core values exercise of just narrowing down what your top priorities are, and they can change. So maybe this is your sign to do it or do it again, and just come up with that list of what resonates for you. And it's really as simple as pulling up a list of core values and going through each one and reflecting on them, and any that stand out on an intuitive level, those are the ones that you should be thinking about. And those are the foundation of everything you do, or they should be if they're your value and you want to live in alignment with your values and in alignment with your soul's highest path, right? So let's say you have a lot of organizational videos, or like decluttering or minimalism, or just organization, home organization, things like this. Why do we watch that? Is it to learn a skill? And that skill is so that you can then implement and practice it in your life. And what would be the reason for doing that? It would be to maybe have a more organized, clean space, because that would reduce not just the physical clutter, but the mental clutter. And maybe that would allow you to feel more relaxed and at peace and at ease. And are those your core values? And maybe feeling more at peace and at ease would enable you to have stronger or more loving connections, or better quality intimacy, or more patience with your loved ones. And maybe that's one of your core values. Or on the other hand, now before I go into the other opposite example, I think they've done studies to show that especially women have higher stress levels when they have more stuff or more clutter or something like that. But for the sake of giving the opposite example, and for anyone who may be an exception to that, let's say you're watching decluttering videos because you feel like you should be more organized. Maybe everyone in your family is organized. Maybe people have always told you that you're so messy and you've developed some kind of shame about it. And so you're watching videos, and then maybe you're not really taking action on it because the thought of actually doing it is causing anxiety, but then you're consuming a lot of the content, and then the algorithm keeps pushing it to you, and then you keep feeling like any day now you're going to be inspired, but the truth is it gives you a lot of anxiety and it's a perfectionism thing. Maybe that's your case. In which case, maybe being organized and clean and highly efficient, or being a person who is all about high productivity, maybe that's actually just not your core value. Maybe you prefer to have a more spontaneous, flowing living environment where it's not such strict rules or limitations on like chores and organizational things around your house, right? This is just a random example, but I'm hoping you're understanding the point, which is that you are the sovereign leader of your own life. And so by understanding what drives us, we can gain really valuable clarity on whether we are living and being and acting in alignment with those values that drive us. So when you look at what makes you consume a particular content, whether it's a piece of knowledge or a feeling or some kind of inspiration, if it can't be connected to your core values, then that tells you that something's out of alignment. And it's not to say that you can't watch kind of brainless things. Maybe you have a core value of play or, humor, things like that make you laugh, like comedy, or things that allow you to release your stresses. Now, it's up to you to determine if you're entering into the territory of like brain rotting content that's a form of escapism, but right, like you have to make that connection. But if you genuinely have a core value that's all about play and humor, then if you're just watching lighthearted videos that make you laugh and smile that other people might think don't have substance to them, then you will know that it's in alignment with your core values. And that's really what's important. And this relates to the question of, is the feeling coming from your soul, your heart, or is it coming from fear, right? If something is making you genuinely open your heart or genuinely smile, versus if something is distracting you from the burdens or obligations or challenges of the real world, then you can kind of see that it's a thin line at times, but that's up to you to discern if you're entering escapism or if you're acting out of alignment and consuming content that makes you feel good, right? And the same goes with spiritual content. Is it spiritual guidance? Because that can lead into reassurance and validation and a false sense of security when it comes to predictions and, again, that attachment to the external reality. And that kind of reassurance and validation can be addictive because uncertainty is uncomfortable. Our minds want to know what's going on. Our egos want to be able to control the narrative at all times. But life isn't like that, and love certainly does not operate within the bounds of certainty and control and these other egoic concepts. So I think when it comes to spiritual practice, there's a level of it that is all about predicting what's coming next. I mean, divination and these different techniques can be extremely helpful for self-growth and not lead to falling down egoic traps. But I think when you take that and you up-level it, you get this expanded version of that, which is not just predicting what's coming next, but learning to conjure the inner world that you want to navigate that with, whether it's being peaceful or more resilient or more well-rounded. Take your pick of whatever value speaks to you. So it's not just about knowing what comes next as some form of control, which again doesn't have to be that for you. Maybe you're able to use divination techniques without falling down egoic traps of trying to control what happens. But you'll often I see this in like movies and entertainment, that they'll pull a tarot card or they'll do some divination technique and then they'll get really scared about it, like it's this dramatic thing. And so that's why I say this is like an up-leveling it, where you're not just doing the divination technique and then you're at the mercy of it, but rather you're conjuring the inner world, you're creating your internal reality, which is the only thing that you do have sovereign power over, that you can control and change of your own will. And you're creating this internal state where you can feel the feeling you want to feel. You can experience the core value that you want to experience, even if it's just being able to feel a love for life, to continue to feel a love for life, regardless of the challenges, regardless of what is coming next. Whatever your value is, right? This is for you to reflect on and determine. So, maybe it's not about knowing about the twin flame journey as much as it is navigating it in a way that's going to make you feel secure and empowered, or again, take your pick of core values that you are seeking. Maybe it's not about being with this specific person, but it's about opening yourself to what true intimacy and connection looks like in a healthy, balanced, mutually reciprocal way, right? Like, these are core value keywords that I'm using here, because as you answer the question of why you consume the content that you do, you're going to get to the bottom of what it is that you're seeking in life, what answers you're seeking, what feelings you're seeking, what values you're seeking to experience. Your core values are really your compass to life. And if you do this exercise, or maybe even just as you've been listening, some key topics have come to your mind or to your heart, maybe you'll start to feel a slight pivot in a direction towards more alignment. That's my hope for you. And this also goes for the influencers or the content creators that you follow. What makes you click subscribe to a certain channel? Is there some quality in that person that you appreciate or you're inspired by because you want to develop it more within yourself, or a quality that you can relate to already and makes you feel seen, or a sense of community? Because sometimes what we seek is a relational core value, a feeling of community, a feeling of belonging, a feeling of even just knowing somebody who embodies a trait that you would like to develop more within yourself. And maybe you don't have any friends or family or people in your community that have that trait. So again, a lot of the core values can also be relational, based on just your natural human needs of wanting a tribe, wanting people that you can relate to on some level or be inspired by on some level. Or, maybe you truly are just watching the content for the knowledge or the kind of material information within the content, rather than the content creator or the brand of that influencer or whatever it may be. But that's pretty much the reflection I wanted to share with you guys today. And I hope it offered you some kind of valuable insight, reflection, breakthrough, or simply just a higher level of awareness for yourself. So as always, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening and being here, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.